Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another original content video. And today, this is another brand new series that we're bringing into the fold. This is called For the Nostalgia.
Told you to stop beating me. Is this nigga serious?
Yeah, I took it there. I took it there. This series is called For the Nostalgia. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is a series where I will be reviewing and deep diving TV shows that wouldn't get a lot of love. So shows like Martin, Fresh Prince, the Wayans Bros, the Jamie Foxx show. Those shows won't be the type of shows I'll be reviewing. I'll be reviewing shows that I was late to the party to, or had to really sit through in order to understand, you know. And as you can see, we starting off with yeah. So we're gonna be doing more shows like these. I might do some popular shows. There's gonna be some popular shows in here because I was late to the party on a lot of shows. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't as up to date with a lot of shows. Some shows I let go on for like 2 seasons before I even started watching episodes. So before I even started watching it. So yeah, so pretty much that's just gonna be it for this intro. And without further ado, let's get right into it. This is For the Nostalgia. Let's get it.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
Rock is one of the most underrated sitcoms in TV history. This right here is a Fox sitcom from 1991 to 1994. It is widely considered one of the most ambitious and socially conscious sitcoms of the 90s, yet it remains one of the most overlooked franchises, TV show franchises to ever exist. The show only ran for 3 seasons and 72 episodes, meaning it did not get syndication, which would lead to it being overlooked. But this show right here, I have to admit, is probably one of the best sitcoms from the 90s that does not get the appreciation that it deserves. The acting is fucking phenomenal. The stories are great. I ain't gonna say all of them are perfect. There are some episodes that you can skip past, but for the most part though, I must say a lot of episodes really had me locked in. And with that being said, let's get right into this. This is a deep dive into Rock. Yeah. So Rock is basically a hybrid comedy, drama, social commentary combination for a network television show. It tackled serious topics like racism, drugs, violence, pregnancy, STDs, family relationships, all type of shit. Anything you could think of in the black community and basically in real life, they tackled it. They touched it. They touched every single topic you could possibly think of. And they did it all through the lens of a black working class household. That is crazy. So the main character, so to just get this out the way real quick, the main characters are Rock Emerson, played by Charles S. Dutton. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Eleanor Emerson, played by Ella Joyce, Joey Emerson, played by Rocky Carroll, and Andrew Emerson Sr., played by Carl Gordon. Now, Rock is pretty much a hard-working garbage collector. He loves his job, by the way. I ain't never heard of a garbage man that love his job, but hey, I mean, should he take pride in it? I mean, shoot, the perks that he be getting from it. I mean, I can't really complain, but I don't know if I could fill my house up with shit that people throw out. I'm just saying, they threw it out for a reason. But hey, sometimes another man's trash is another man's treasure, and Rock is a prime example of that. Eleanor is pretty much a registered nurse who pretty much keeps the family grounded. She's like the moral support of the family when they're going through things and when something crazy is going on. Joey is pretty much a freeloader who just so happens to play the trumpet. That's all he is. He's just a freeloading sibling. And Andrew Emerson is pretty much retired. He's just the old guy he's pretty much the comic relief old guy who gets a good jab in at the characters every now and again. He's pretty much that, but sometimes he does provide wisdom and from an older generation's perspective. But for the most part, he's pretty much like comic relief. Him and Joey is pretty much comic relief, but Joey hits it a little bit more. But Andrew can come in and give you a little bit of that zing every now and again, like kind of like Jeffrey from the Fresh Prince humor, if that makes sense. He could come in, hit you with a quick zing, and be up out the scene like that. So yeah, this is probably one of the first modern dramedies sitcoms. The 90s and 80s, they were strictly about comedy, okay? Back around this time, shows were meant for families to sit down, laugh, and be entertained. They weren't there to sit there and talk about issues that, you know, saying that were kind of touchy at the time, and they didn't want to talk. I don't want to talk to my kids about that. We'll talk about that when they get older. Right now, just make us laugh, just entertain us. That's what it was all about. Rock didn't do that. Rock took it blended serious drama with humor. Now later on in the 2000s and 2010s and 2020s, that would become more of a more niche format versus people that just want to be entertained. So yeah, Rock was kind of like ahead of its time. Then there was the live. What made it even more ahead of its time was the live episode experiment. Now, we'll probably have to talk about this later on and how this pretty much hurt the show. But for the most part, this was innovative. This was bold. This was a bold experiment. Pretty much during the second season, they pretty much filmed all the episodes live, meaning there was no time to edit and run something back if somebody messed up, meaning they had to be on point. But the thing is, this cast was so good at acting that they could pull this off, and they did. Now you might see a little slip up every now and again, but for every slip up, they pretty much hit it out the park. It like you wouldn't even think it was live. You wouldn't even think this was live. You would think this was pre-taped, but no, it wasn't. It was live. The moment from the time when the show was supposed to be on the air, this shit was live, and you got the full-fledged acting out of them, and this was good. I'm not gonna lie to you. They were definitely ahead of their time. So yeah, and I mean, it was its influence like impact did its influence impact the landscape of television around that television going forward? Not really, not really. I mean, ER did a live episode back in 1997. 30 Rock had a couple of live episodes, and then there was a show in 2015 called Undateable that was a live sitcom, but that didn't last very long. So yeah, the importance of this show, though, the importance of this show to the black culture, black television, I think Rock has a special place there. I think it represents in an authentic way the working class. Whereas around the time Rock came out, most black sitcoms were about upper middle class families, or family, or some families that just, what I'm saying, they had it like that. So you had the upper class families like the Cosby Show. You had the very rich and successful ones like the Banks and Fresh Prince. And then for some of the ones that were working class, they were pretty much cartoonish comic environments, such as the Martins, the Wayans Bros, the Jamie Foxx shows. They were more grounded in the comedy, whereas Rock was based in reality. Rock playing a garbage man is kind of a rare portrayal for a protagonist on a TV show, but the fact that they made it work, hey, that's kind of good. But what also made this show so impactful to the black culture was the social issues that it tackled on, and the social issues were usually kind of heavy. I've already stated before: gangs, drugs, STDs, racism, infidelity, economic hardship, community activism. All that stuff was all in here. Like I said, anything you could think of that goes on in the black community, you can pretty much expect it to be on this show. Like when I say they tackled everything, they tackled just about everything. Okay. And because of this made many of people critique this as one of the most serious sitcoms ever for its time. But some people like this. Some people felt that it being very emotional and real was actually pretty good, and it kind of didn't show in the ratings. Now, for the first 2 seasons, Rock stayed around 8.9, which would probably be like I believe close. Will probably be around 8.9, which would pretty much means it would normally round out to about 9 million, but you know where I'm trying to go with this. So about 8.9 million people would tune into this regularly. So it had a following, it had a loyal audience, but it wasn't a big hit. And by season 3, which would be the final season, it took a massive dip. Okay, it took a massive dip, going from an 8.9 to a 5.1. That is bad. And because of because of the ratings being low, these are the factors that contributed to Fox pretty much being like, yeah, we can't keep this show. And I mean, when you think about it, these were the problems that were pretty much hurting the show. If I'm being honest with you, Fox was still pretty much a new network. It wasn't as established as ABC, NBC, or CBS at that time. The show was too serious for people who like sitcoms. They like lighthearted comedy, and sometimes you could put a heavy topic up in there to make it to draw people in sometimes. But when your show is just based around serious topics all the time, it kind of hurts the show from a 90s viewing perspective. Then there was the marketing issues, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that the show was taped live, meaning that there were no episodes to preview for next week, so that way the show could have some anticipation going into it. Without, how can you promote something that's going to be live. Now, you can sit up here and criticize Fox all you want to, but what can they do when they don't have any footage to preview for the next week? There's a reason why a lot of shows are better off being pre-taped, because a show like Rock, as great as the acting was and as great as a job as everybody did, I have to be honest, it'd be so easy to lose track of this show. It would be so easy to lose track of this show because it's because of the live tapings, okay? Because this show is live and I'm not like, and it's not being promoted like that, it can get lost in the shuffle, because you have to think about it. You're not just competing with, I think the problem was, I think they thought that they were just competing with shows on their network. No, you're not just competing with In Living Color, The Simpsons, goddamn, what's the other one? Married with Children, Martin. You're not just dealing with those shows, you're also dealing with other networks and their shows. You have to compete with the Fresh Princes, you have to compete with the Family Matters, you have to compete with the Roseannes, the Home Improvements. You have to go up against all of these shows from other different networks, and if there's not a hype up package to make people want to tune into your show, of course you're going to lose viewership. It's going to happen. How can we market you the way we need to market you, and every show is live and we can't market it? We can't just market last week's show. Everybody saw it already. So it's kind of hard to market something that you can't like hype up for the next week. But as Fox, like I said before, as Fox stated, the show was pretty much canceled for low ratings, but we can all call bullshit on this one. I feel like as a black man, I can call bullshit on this one, because in 1994, when Rock got canceled, so did a lot of other black sitcoms get canceled, such as South Central, Sinbad Show, and Living Color. In Living Color, all these shows got fucking canceled in 1994 by Fox, which led to Jesse Jackson and the civil rights people coming out and calling for a boycott of Fox, arguing the network removing black programming was a racially biased. Fox denied this and said it was purely ratings based, but me personally, I call bullshit. As much I just said about them not being able to promote the show and it can get lost in the shuffle, still the show still had a loyal fan base behind it, and it still told a true story that where people wanted to, and the fact that it left off on a cliffhanger for the final episode. I kind of have to agree with it. I have to call bullshit, considering the fact that a bunch of other shows got canceled in that same year, and they were mostly black shows. No, actually, they weren't even mostly. They were pretty much all black shows. All of them were black shows that got canceled by Fox in 1994, and Rock was one of them. So yeah, and when you get rid of In Living Color, one of the most important shows to your fucking network, come on now. But if I had to say episodes that like really, episodes that really like had me like, yo, this was a great episode. Obviously the most obvious one would be the one where the episode Terrence got his gun, like the one where the little boy tried to stand up to his bully and pulled out a gun on him, just to end up getting shot up outside a rock house.
Thanks, don't worry, I'll get you a good deal.
Okay.
I guess he's basically a good kid.
All those kids are good kids. They just need a little guidance. Oh, Pop, get an ambulance, get an ambulance.
And then they killed him, man. They killed Go Cheese. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Dun, da 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 da. I don't know where to roll.
Which was sad, but at the same time, still a good episode. Then there was the last episode, which was left on a very good cliffhanger, which we never got a proper follow up to, but hey, it is what it is. There was also the episode where somebody stole from Clifton Powell's character known as Andre, the neighborhood drug dealer, and Rock tried to convince him to spare the kid's life who stole from him. Then there was the episode when the drug dealers first moved into the neighborhood.
My house and off my street, you understand?
Okay, Rock, now you gotta stop this now.
Stay out of this, Ellen.
I don't think you want to do this, G.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to do this ever since you moved.
No, I don't think you want to find one of these loved ones of yours in one of those garbage cans you pick.
If you ever so much as look in that direction, I'll run down on you and I'll break your back.
Oh, don't hurt him, son. Not here.
You don't know how crazy I am.
Rock, let him go, please.
Right.
Son, come on, son.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's obvious we're not gonna be able to work this out tonight, all right?
See, you don't seem to understand. See, we ain't got nothing to work out. I want you gone from here. That's my bottom line. And I'm gonna lean on you every day till you're out of here. I'm gonna be in your face every day and every night. When you close your eyes, all you're gonna see is me. No matter how long it takes, even if it kills me.
And there was also the episode where Andre got shot and then he accused Rock of shooting him, and that wasn't the case at all. It was something else. But for all these good shows that had very good impact, and like I said, every show had very good impact, there were some shows that I was kind of like, this some bullshit right here. Obviously, one of the ones I reacted to it a couple of months back. The episode where I think it was the second episode where Rock's dad meets this friend who's on his last breath and is pretty much about to pass away. And before he passes away, he tells him, "Hey man, I slept with your wife and one of your kids might be mine." They get a DNA test and they don't follow it up. This is probably one of my biggest issues with this show, watching this show in its entirety, is that there be some of the most hard-hitting topics and they never follow them up. Like the episode with Joey, when Rock pretty much is like, when Rock makes a bet with Joey about, hey, if you can work my job for 2 weeks, I'll give you $1,000. I give you $1,000. Joey I think he needed the $1,000 to pay off some bookies because Joey is a gambling addict, and I don't know why Rock and them never like got him to seek help. But I digress. In the midst of it, Rock had enough of Joey and pretty much was like, listen man, you lie. And Joey paid somebody to do the work for him. So basically, to show up to Rock's job, pose as Joey and then come home and be like, you know what, man, I done worked all this hard, man. I'm tired, man. I'm tired, Rock. I'm tired. He was playing it. He was faking it until I think the guy was at the bar. I think the guy was at the bar with the workers, and they was like, oh, that's your brother. Ain't that your brother right there? And he was like, nah, that ain't. And Rock was like, nah, that ain't my brother. I mean, and then that's when Rock found out, oh, Joey on that bullshit. And this is when Rock pretty much came to the conclusion that he was gonna kick Joey out the house and kick him out of his house for lying, because he was done with him. He was like, dog, I'm getting tired of your bullshit. And then Joey does something so egregious. This man was willing to risk his trombone playing days because he said he had I think he lied and said he had a cut on his lip. And if he played with that cut, it was pretty much the end of his trombone career. And at that particular moment, I was like, come on, dog. Once they found out, he played the trombone, he faked the injury, and then Eleanor, who once again is a nurse, comes in, she looks at him, and then ain't even a scratch on his lip. His lips were perfectly fine the whole time. When she found out that he lied to his brother just so he could convince him to stay in the goddamn house, that should have been the episode where Joey got officially kicked out. I think that would have helped. That was one of my biggest gripes with the show, is just the fact that they never followed up on shit. They never followed it up. They never went through with it. They would always pump fake you. And that's one of the biggest things I hate about 90s and early 2000 sitcoms. They never follow through on what they got or what they're trying to sell you, because they always try to keep the continuity and the dynamic of the show in a certain way, instead of changing up the dynamic a little bit and making it a little bit more interesting. You know what I'm saying? But they don't do that. They don't do that no more. They didn't do that. And I hated the fact that they didn't do that. I hated the fact that they did not do that, but it's okay. It's okay. It is okay. But with that being said, I think two of the other most egregious episodes I had a problem with was the episode with the homeless lady. The homeless lady episode, the pregnant homeless lady episode. I had a problem with it, but the way how it ended was pretty fucking sad, so I'm not as mad at it as I was, because as I'm watching the show, it's like, you let a homeless person in your house, you feed them, they got a fucking nasty attitude, they treating you like shit, they cussing at you, they yelling at you, they don't want no help from you, and they willing to leave, but they pregnant, so you feeling some type of way about it. I would have let the bitch walk out the door. That's just me personally. But the fact that they let this woman get in the bed to have the man, couldn't be me. But the ending was pretty sad because the baby didn't even make it, and they was out looking for the dad. They was looking for the baby dad, who was homeless as well. But it's like, dog, what the fuck? I'm not gonna lie, there was some good acting though. Shout out to Tommy Davidson, shout out to Scott Jackson, mom. They did their thing. There was some good acting. And then probably the most egregious episode, in my personal opinion, that I personally hated the most. I hated this more than the Joey episode. Is the episode with Samuel Jackson. Yes, the episode with Samuel Jackson. In my personal opinion, it's the worst fucking episode. And I know what you're thinking right now. An episode with Samuel Jackson. Yes, the Samuel Jackson. Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell. Yes, that's Samuel Jackson. Y'all know the Samuel Jackson I'm talking about. I don't. You know. Don't act dumb. You know the Samuel Jackson I'm talking about. You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Hi, I'm Lawrence Melrose. I'm here to see Eleanor.
Well, how's that for extreme?
You know exactly who I'm talking about, bruh. So yeah, that Samuel L. Jackson. So yeah, seeing him play that episode, bruh, where he was in love with Eleanor and just disrespecting the fuck out of Rock. I'm just saying though, me personally, I wouldn't take that level of disrespect. Me personally,
I wouldn't take this level of disrespect.
I'm just saying, brother. The disrespect in this entire episode, and then this nigga Rock had the audacity to say, well, because he couldn't provide all the things that he wanted to give his wife, he was willing to let her go and be with Samuel L. Jackson, because Samuel L. Jackson is a rich, I guess you could say a richer, more established person financially. It's just, bro, y'all just don't understand how irritating that fucking episode was.
You said so yourself. Eleanor is the kind of woman you want to give everything to. Kills me when I see her coming home from work in the mornings, all exhausted and worn out. Sometimes after she's collapsed in the bed at 10 a.m., I'll watch her sleep. And I hate myself. I really hate myself for everything I can't give her. Lately, I've had this fantasy. I'd buy us a secluded tropical island we could escape to whenever we wanted. I'd love to be able to see her smile in the tropical moonlight. Can you imagine how beautiful she'd look?
Yes, I can.
You know, I'd give anything to be able to do that for her. But no matter what I do, how hard I try, I know I'll never be able to.
You know the funny thing, Rock?
What's that?
I can give her all that.
Yeah, I know.
Rock, you might think I'm crazy, and I may be for telling you this. But until you gave me this heart attack, I had every intention of proposing to Eleanor.
You want to hear something crazier? I think you should.
You serious?
I've never been more serious.
You want your wife to leave you and run off with me?
No, of course not, no. It would rip my guts out if she said yes to it. But with all that you can give her, I just don't feel I have the right to stop her from hearing it.
Boy, it's out the mud. We got Rashad McCown.
But I digress. I couldn't stand that episode. I think that's probably one of the worst ones out of all of them. But other than that though, I think aside from the episodes, I would probably say my biggest critiques of the episode. Let me just give you the pros and cons of this show in general. The pros, in my personal opinion, is it has incredible acting. Okay, realistic storytelling. I will definitely go for realistic storytelling. I love to see that. It was innovative for its time. The social relevance, I fuck with it heavily. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of the stuff that they talked about in that show is still relevant today, and it tackled a lot of issues that most sitcoms would avoid or probably do one little special episode for. But one little special episode for every Fresh Prince of Bel-Air episode that has to deal with being racially profiled by the cops, or Will's dad not being there for him, or Will getting shot, or Family Matters episode where gangs tear down the bar or the diner, stuff like that, and somebody puts the N-word on Laura's locker. For all those serious episodes, Rock did these on a consistent basis, but that's what leads into the cons. The problem, I think what it was, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. But for the time of the 90s, people did not want to have a serious show to watch. They don't like watching serious shows. They only like shows that make them laugh. If it don't make them laugh, they don't want to watch it. And also, when you don't have that much support of the network, because it's hard to promote a show that's live that's live for every episode. And then on top of that, I think they switched the scheduling around to put it after Martin, so that way it could get a little bit, and that made it 10 times worse, which is crazy. Because after Martin, like you kind of would want to watch a black sitcom after that, a black sitcom following a black sitcom. You would kind of want that, but like I said, the 90s just wasn't that time. They weren't ready for a show like this, and also with it only having 72 episodes, it fell short of the 100 episode syndication threshold, basically limiting the reruns. But in the modern times, that shit don't matter, because we have streaming platforms that will take a show that probably only had like 1 or 2 seasons or like 8 episodes, and they will still put that shit on their platform because they do not care. So so this leads to the question: could have Rock succeeded today? The answer is yes. When you have shows like Atlanta, The Chi, Snowfall, Power, BMF, Bel Air that actually do pretty good, a show like Rock would have succeeded. Now, where do I think it would have succeeded in today's time? I don't know about today's time, but I think it could have started around the time The Wire was beginning to wrap up. You got to understand, The Wire was big. Okay, The Wire was big. So having a sitcom based in Baltimore, I think this could have worked. This could have been a good follow-up after The Wire went off the air. I think if this started up when The Wire went off the air, and then you give us another show from Baltimore that's a sitcom and it's a little bit more lighthearted, on the lighthearted side, but it still touches on topics that really, impact the black community and stuff like that. I think this show could have possibly went on a run from probably, like, I want to say, like, when did The Wire end? Like, 2008, 2009? I think it could have started there and could have went probably to about like 2014. I think it could have had more seasons, more episodes. Yeah, it could have definitely could have had a generational run in today's time. And where it could, and it would have probably did even more better on streaming platforms than it does today. And ironically, if the show had the same ratings today that it had back then, being the 8.9s and then the 5.1 for season 3, that shit would be considered a successful modern TV show. So overall, though, the strengths, the strengths and the weaknesses, I'd probably say the strengths: it was bold, it was emotionally intelligent, it was ahead of its time, it succeeded in showing, real life black representation with great storytelling and great acting. I think its biggest weakness was it just came out at the wrong time, man. Like I said, the 90s was about escaping and just having and being entertained. Was about escaping the real world, being entertained and not thinking and just trying to get a good chuckle, a good laugh. Instead, it offers social commentary, emotional realism, and just great acting overall. I think it was just it was a mismatch. I think if the show would have came out later on, probably say around that, like I said, around that 2007, 2008, 2009 threshold, it would have succeeded like that. But with that being said, I do believe that this is one of the most underrated sitcoms ever produced. I think it broke all the things for the genre. It broke all the rules for the 90s sitcom genre. It did everything. It did everything ambitiously and has a lot of cultural reference, and it has aged extremely royal. And if I had to give it a final score, I would give it a 8.5 out of 10. I will agree with that. That is, I think a 8.5 out of 10 is the best I can give it. I can't give it a 9. I can't say it's close to a 10. 8.5 is fair. While this show is groundbreaking on so many levels for its time, there is some times where I wish that the seriousness definitely should have toned down, especially in season 3. I wish that the seriousness could have toned down just a little bit, and we still could have got a little bit more of that comedy, a little bit of a chuckle, a laugh, a hee hee ha here and there. But for the most part, I'm good with what we got. It is what it is. I think Rock would have succeeded in today. I think it was an underrated sitcom. Very watchable. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend you watch it. If you into that type of stuff, if you like to see a 90s sitcom with modern day topics, this is the show for you. I will highly recommend that. But if it ain't, then it is what it is. But anyway, so that's just gonna about do it for this one. I appreciate y'all watching this. This is the first episode of an original content video known as For the Nostalgia. Yeah, I took it there. So yeah, I will see you all in the next one. Till then, deuces.